Buenos dias. Hello and good morning. This is Andy Weston, resonating in all solar systems, planets, intelligence. I'd like to thank all the subscribers and viewers for watching my channel as I keep you updated and posted what's going on through the galactic system and the galactic energy core. How it's exceptionally powerful, that its continuous force is going on, tremendous force right now. So it looks like a great day with the galactic solar sun planet. I just finished communicating with the galactic moon, so they have full collaboration right now. We have a clear sky overlooking its atmospheres right now. So it's on a automatic glow, and that glow is shape-shifting through its winds, and the atmosphere itself is resonating around its solar systems. So it's pretty powerful stuff. It's like translucent, like you look at the sky and you think it's blue, but it's not. It's actually black. Because when you're in the matrix, you're sees through the perception where it comes the radiation of its size and its pixels. So that's exactly what you see. So once you're in the matrix and you understand its formations through its grids and its electronic devices of its shapes and sizes and line division, calculation, modifications, you actually see the universe. You actually see the stars, you see the planets, you see so many different solar systems. You hear sounds. You can actually smell what it's like in space, continuum. It's pretty incredible when you're in the matrix and you have that full continuous force, and it allows you to communicate it with the communications of its stars and its radio signals through its waving patterns. So it's pretty incredible. So there's questions about what are pixels. Well, pixels are basically, it's an outer line of the shape of a human vessel. And we contain all particles and energies and molecules and atoms and all the particles of everything and anything absorbed through its space and its continuum. So it's a formulation of a human body, but it's all pixels. And those pixels are different colors. And those colors resonate around your heat sensors and your coolants. And understanding that the antimantium is formulating with its silicone, and the silicone is formulating with the water, and the water is formulating with the heat, and the heat is formulating with electricity. So once you understand what your human vessel is made out of, you get a better idea of what the human vessel can do through the higher self, because it's all connection wires. Everything's connected through the multidimensional universal heart, through the mind capacitors, mind telepathy, mind conception, and everything, its involvement that it has through the voicing grid, the voicing capacitor, and the body, which is you, and the ecosystem, which is also you. So the ecosystem is more of a definite source of a higher source, and that's why we call it an ecosystem. So it's everything that's consumed in your body, but it is a body. So that's why I call it body. Capacitors and ecosystems, because that's what it is. Everything's based on systems. So that's exactly what pixels are. This is a pictorialization of a video tube, you know, a television. If you look up really, really close, you'll see little pixels, red dots, yellow dots, green dots, blue dots, red dots. Okay? So imagine yourself as a computer operative through its electronic device. Because we're all based on electricity, atoms, molecules, all different kinds of biochemical cells, energy systematical cells, septic cells, regeneration, reproduction, understanding everything through its involvement and its DNA and structures. So today I'd like to talk about DNA and its structures. Now the human lives in a vessel and has its own DNA structure. It's diagnostic, right? But in the DNA structures through space continuum, D stands for dimension. So once you get a better understanding of what's involved through space, you can only understand yourself. And once you know what's happening in space, the only way you can learn from experience is to know that the only way to get to space, the only way to understand space, is to be the galactic higher self, is to be the higher self. You can't understand it on a human point of view. You can't look up at the galactic solar sun planet and see that it's a sphere, because it's not. It's a different shape. Because everything is formalized through the galactic solar sun planet and the galactic moon and its dimensional multi-earth, where it has its amazing gravitational pull, which is so powerful. It basically, here is the dimensional earth, okay? Now it just sits in space, okay? And then you have all the planets all around, okay? Now, the gravitational pull, okay, what it is, it's like a tractor beam, and it line formates all these planets, lines them up, and keeps the planets elevated. That's why we have the dimensional earth. So, again, I'd like to talk about, you know, the structures of the planets, how they're made through the infinity 8, the 12th century circle of its divisions, and its center point, where it goes from here to here to here to here to here, makes a planet, uprises its energy fields, brings up its vibration, corrects its division, all its shapes and all that, find its feeding source, find that frequency through its balance and its harmonics, uplift that planet, put it in a solar dimension of another realm, formulate that, put everything in perspective, because like I said, everything is lined, and then you see the matrix, the lines and the grids. Now, the matrix is also through a DNA structure, and the DNA structure with the matrix is, how was it born? How was it rebirthed? Well, the matrix is complex and complicated. It has to do with volumes of calculation, modification. This is where it comes in. Understanding volumes of numbers, understanding the lines, understanding electricity. Everything formulates around electricity and its grids. Those grids are those lines. And in those lines, there's numbers on each segment. Each line, there's a number, okay? Now, to understand those frequencies, to understand those codes, once you break those codes and frequencies, you can go to a higher dimension and change those volumes of numbers, okay? So each time you go up through a dimension, you're going through a different realm, through a different parallel. And that's why we have parallels. That's why we have paradox. That's why we have galaxies, okay? So when you're in space continuum, you're communicating with all realms of its definitive and its space, because the radio signals are going through the shapes. You have a line, you have a square, you have a circle, you have a rectangle. You can have one of these like these too, doesn't matter. But a rectangle is not just a rectangle. Now, I think I told you about that we have shapes in space continuum through its matrix that no human understanding would understand what's going on through its galactic system and its energy core. So we have a rectangle like this, but it doesn't look like that. It's like this, like this, like this. And it has a force field and an energy field around it, okay? And whatever it formulates through its feeding source, it becomes its own DNA structure. It becomes its own communication line. It becomes its own waving patterns. It becomes its own radio signals. And we change that location to another dimension. So every time we need to communicate with that shape through its dimension of its frequency and its harmonics, we can collect all its devices, all its patterns, all its wavings, all its connection, waving, electronic patterns, systems. So everything revolves around its system and its location. So every time we go to that dimension, that's how we can have communication, through relationship and partnership. So I think before in my last video, we were talking about relationships, how they're formalized through its shapes and its communication lines, through its radio signals. Well, we're still in relationship. Partnership is very hard to get, but we're working towards it, which is great. because right now we're still trying to find that vibration, and it's extremely hard because we have to go through other dimensions and reformulate, recalculate, recorrect its division, analyze, and we're using the analytical system, which is you. So I'm using the Galactic Higher Self 12, not only to correct its divisions, but to line formate everything through its vibration. So think of one big machine connected to everything, okay, through its energy source, through its energy's oxygen, through its atmospheres and its ground formations. Okay, so you have the ground, the atmosphere, and space. It's all lined, one big line that goes straight up. Okay, and once you're in space, basically, it's not what you think. Space is the formulation through its circles and its rotation is all based on this. That's the energy that keeps going around and round and round, and those particle energies come down, like I said too in my last video. But you can actually see what's going on all different areas because you're using your peripheral vision, radiation lights through the matrix. Because once you see, you can see, you know, see how it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller? That's what it is. It's like the dimensions going through a tunnel, but it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but you're going faster and faster and faster. Okay, so that's where you get connection with your altitude and your speed and your velocity and your acceleration through the higher self, the solar, the harmonic, and the galactic. And when you're using your voicing grids and you're using your strength affinity lines and the cross-referencing, you know, cross over the audio signals, you use those location grids, then you come across those blockages. Remember I was telling you about a wall where before you go through another planet, you have to communicate with that planet on its vibration. So you use those high-pitched sounds through the voicing grid, and that allows you to use your transformation lights, the third eye, to use mind telepathy so you can connect with that planet through its vibration and its intelligence through its solar systems. So it's pretty powerful when you get into space. You can actually control its space, what's around it. Because everything's a speeding source through its electronics, through its energies, cycles. Its plantation is on extremely strong force on a daily basis. And its wind cycles are going through its oscillations, and those oscillations are tinder waving. Tinder waving is basically seeing a plantation and it's off center, so it kind of like tilts. So we have to bring back its vibration, use the magnetic force, uplift its energy source, find its new location. As we're uplifting the planet, we use a new energy field, a new vibration through its frequency and its harmonics. Use the infinity 12 circles of the infinity lines, correct its division, line forming its shapes, open up its sequences, find those calibrations, and everything is done through mind telepathy. That's how powerful your mind is, and that's why we use the mind and the brain frequencies, because that's the only thing we use in space. Because telekinesis is moving things, moving objects. Now, the mind is extremely powerful. Once you know how to control space and how to communicate with planets and solar systems and intelligence, you can communicate in all realms of its definitive and its space. So my eye perception, I can move things through the matrix. So my eyes go back and forth, and the pixels become more real, and everything around you becomes more pixels. And what it does is it shadow shapes like this, goes like, you know, and the pixel goes, and it's just, that's what happens, right? And those DNA structures are separated into space. And it formalizes, brings all those molecules back into a new DNA structure, okay? Also too, you know, it's interesting how people like to talk about black holes. Black holes is when you go into a black hole through its DNA structure, depending on the vibration, if it reaches that same vibration, it will go through that plantation, that vibration resides on through its solar systems. Now, when you're going into that black hole, you lose like 10-15 minutes of past, something you couldn't remember or reclaim or understood or understand. That's what black hole is. And I said that too in my last video. But it goes way beyond that, because you're in a black hole and you come out the other end. Truth to that is yes and no, because you think you come from here to here, but to get here to here, it's all about DNA structure. It's all about communication, because you're always communicating every time when you're in space. And you have to build friendship, you have to build relationship, and you have to build partnership before you can go through any dimension, any frequencies, any vibration, any harmonics, any intelligence. If you go through a continuous force and go past a planet without communicating first, you're into a battle zone. And it can become very real to you, because like I said, I think way back in my videos, I was talking about, you know, when you're coming across interaction, interfacing with a planet or intelligence, you get reactions like when I'm vortexing. You know, you either get goosebumps, or you coming across a planet, you get heat, you start to sweat. So you have full connection reaction to space-ins continuum. And when you're meditating through your methods of the higher self or the galactic self, it becomes extremely real. So it's kind of like a mystical sag of yourself, which is you see yourself flying around. That's how powerful it is, because your matrix is now connected through its lines and its grids. And you're communicating all over the place. But if you go past the planet, that's not a good idea, because you're not communicating. You're just bypassing another planet or a solar system or intelligence. So it's kind of like, in a human point of view, is don't be rude. That's what it is. You know, you want to build a friendship first before you get relationship and then partnership. But, you know, don't ever do that, because the crosswinds and its twines, it's not a good idea, because the mechanisms get all, you know, construed, and everything through itself. It's just, you don't feel good about yourself, and you feel like, oh, I did something wrong. Now, you can't recorrect what you just did. So if that ever happens, if you ever come across that and you forgot your meditation methods, whatever, because meditation is the most important thing. And once you light up those chakra formations, wow, watch out, because you really have to know how to master each chakra formation. Every time I go through meditation methods, it's very important to get your definitive breath to infinitive breath. And once you get that life breath, it formulates everything through its space, because you're communicating in all different realms. You're not just communicating with yourself. You're not just communicating with the atmosphere. You're not just communicating with everything around you through its energy fields. But you're connecting with everything. Everything. Now, when I'm using those chakra formations, which are 22, I have to use protection grids all around. So it's segments that I go up. It's like going up the stairs. So if I go from the crown chakra to the solar to the galactic, right? And then a protection grid. And then I put another protection grid, because it's a new galactic star. And then another protection grid. So the more protection grids, the more you're protected. Because to be honest, you don't know what's in space. And it's pretty scary if you don't know what you're dealing with when it comes to energies, because those energies that go into you have no idea. And space is mystical and mystery, and that's all it is. It's formalizing, and it keeps moving and all that. But as soon as it communicates, okay, this is space. Okay, this is the galaxy. Okay, and this is what it's doing. right? Now, soon as some people meditate, okay, there's life formating, there's people meditating all over the world. You got 8 billion people. As soon as they start meditating, they stop, okay? Because now they're listening, okay? And that listening becomes shape, and that shape becomes communication, right? So when that becomes communication, the energy flow that's going around, it's multidimensional Earth through its gravitational pull of its Earth and its rotation through circulation. Once you transcend whatever you want to know or whatever you want to find out, or anything in that matter, through its space, the energies come down, straight line, very fast, depending if you have a white line or gold, okay? That goes right into your chakra formations. It unites the chakra formation, okay? Now, you're understanding this, what kind of shape it is, you're using that communication line in full extent through its acceleration and how fast it's going to go. Because every chakra formation has a different speed preference, okay? Not all chakra formations are the same, okay? So it's understanding patterns. Remember I was telling you about waving patterns and how they're all connected through the radio signals, okay? So when you're in space and it's connecting to you, you are connected fully into space and continuum. And I find when people are meditating, they wait too long, or they forget what they wanted to say, or they forget their protection grids, or they get confused. I mean, that's understandable, but see, that's why people have problems with meditating, because when they're meditating, they finish what they said, but they forgot to protect themselves. So they got to go back up to space, reformulate through its position, use its chakra formations and its life formation through its calculation, and use all those communication lines through the radio signals. So you can't recorrect it. The only thing you can do is you have to change your energy fields, change your vibrations to that frequency of that plantation, of that solar system, or that intelligence. And that's how you get your balance. That's how you get the friendship and relationship and partnership. That's what I mean. You have to understand your energy fields and your vibrations through your energies, because there are so much energies up in space continuum. It's unbelievable. But like I said, it keeps going like this. But as soon as you meditate, it stops. And then it wants to know what chakra formation you're using. Okay? So, I know there's a lot to say. This is more about chakra formations and understanding what's around your body and ecosystems and how to use it properly. So, meditations are very important because it's everything to space and its continuum. Right? That's how you create your reality. So hopefully that helps you out with what's going on right now with space and its continuum. So we're on a tremendous force right now. So I'm using the Galactic 12, and basically they're flying around and using they're analyzing right now because they're trying to find that vibration and its balance. So everybody's still on the time switch. So keep tight. Some people are going to evolve a lot faster than others because they understand their vibration, their energy fields, but everybody's going to apply it to there, so no worries there. So I'm going to let you go for now. Questions or comments are great. I love hearing from you guys. Love you very much. I'll keep you informed what's going on with space and its continuum, its galactic system, and its energy core through its communication lines and radio signals of all electronic devices through the matrix. This is Andrew Weston calling out. Adios.